A movie I was genuinely looking forward to a couple of years back coming out. Actually, several movies, but this one was very dear to me. Was canceled. And yesterday, we got a trailer for it. So let's watch it.
Eh.
Okay, I love this blending.
I feel like they're finally getting it.
Why y'all doing my boy like this?
Hmm. Bro, she's in this too? Eh.
I love that he's a villain. I
Uh,
love that about this.
is Foghorn Leghorn in the Epstein files?
I'm so in. I'm so in. I'm so in. Amazing. Mm. I have so much to say, but I'm going to throw it to you guys because I don't know if you guys fully know the background of what happened with this. So I'm going to throw it to you guys, get your reaction, and then I'm going to tell you like what happened.
Okay,
He,
okay.
Armand, I don't care. One of you go. Armand, you had thoughts. Go.
No, I was gonna say that I think the background first would be great. So could you actually? I would love to understand the backstory of what I just saw, of what I definitely am loving and rooting for reasons I'll discuss later. But I would appreciate your scholarly wisdom. Um, and this is me asking in a very polite, non sarcastic kind of way. So please, thank you.
Love that you had to put that on
Heh.
um as a clarifier. I am not being sarcastic this one time. Okay. So I'm going to try to retain my giddiness because everything about this pisses me off.
Sorry,
David
continue.
Zasloff came in to Warner Brothers. And as anyone who's listened to our podcast or watched us on YouTube knows, we have had opinions about Zasloff and his particular brand of leadership. And one of the things that he did was can fully made films. One of them was Batgirl, which was something we were all deeply looking forward to. We actually just discussed that previously when we talked about the Clayface trailer. One of them was Scoob Holiday Haunt, which looked amazing. And, Scooby Doo, always pretty much a winner. You got to really go wrong, Mindy Kaling, for a Scooby Doo show to be not great or a Scooby Doo movie to not be great. And one of them was Coyote versus Acme. The film was fully shot. It was supposed to be released. They were getting ready to do press. And it was canceled by Warner Brothers in November of 2023 as a part of a tax write off. So the outcry from people pretty much across the board, social media, the film industry, the SAG and AFTRA, Animators, the animators union, just people who are fans of the characters, was so loud and overwhelming that Warner Brothers actually reversed its decision. And almost a good 3.5 years later, after the movie was actually shot and finished, we are finally getting this film in the theaters. I am so happy, but I hate everything that happened up until this point. So much. So much. And unfortunately, and we're going to get into that on our main podcast, it doesn't look like things are going to be getting better with Warner Brothers anytime soon. Okay, I'm trying to get back to my joy, so I'm going to let y'all talk. One of y'all talk.
Okay, I will just say that I am rooting for this movie probably more than any other movie that's coming out this year. Generally, I am very agnostic if it's good. There's very little anymore that's coming out that excites me because basically by the time I've seen the trailer, I'm like are no original IPs anymore, so it's all in referential to something else that I've seen or heard before. And once I got that, it's off to the races. Looney Tunes is like a treasured part of my childhood. Like it's like how I remember Saturday mornings as a kid because it's like some of the cartoons are hit or miss, but the one thing I knew that was going to be good every time was going to be Looney Tunes. Um, and so and it's so interesting because these are characters that really have not penetrated like the current generation of kids. And so as a consequence, they're very much kind of dying out. I mean, and it's funny because as look, at this point, like, we're not all older fans, but we're like none of us are in our 20s. So I remember being out someplace with the boys, and the issue of Popeye came up, and they had no idea who I was talking about. They were like, "Is he associated with the restaurant?" And I was like, "No, he's not associated with the restaurant." I was like, "Little short guy, big forearms, eat spinach." They're like, "No." So Looney Tunes for me was drifting into that, into just it does not have any cultural resonance with which you worry about as a fan of something. Like I'm sure there were people who were fans of like the original black and white, Flash Gordon. But there aren't enough new human beings who are interested in watching that to sustain it. Looney Tunes again was kind of drifting into that place for me, and so ultimately, I, I'm happy to see anything that was going to have those characters in it in a prominent way. But I was stunned at how well written this thing feels already. I was stunned at how intelligently it feels like the characters are going to be used. Um, I mean, the fact that it really is sometimes when you make something, it's really just about satisfying the fans in the most basic way. Everybody knows we all got to a point in life where all we watched was the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner show. Because you get to the point where you've had so much Looney Tunes, you're like, I just need a small subset. So what I'm saying is, it's the only thing out of all the stuff they made that the fans universally were like, you should just keep doing more of this. Like this is like animated crack, and we just want more of this. So to give us that in a 2-hour movie, I'm just kind of like, please, I mean, please, Lord God, it has to be good. How could it not be good? But please, please, Lord, don't let it be bad. Let it be awesome, like a Super Mario movie or some shit like that. So my kids will want to go see it. So I'll be able to show Looney Tunes to my daughter. And the last time I tried, she looked at me as if she questions my parental abilities already. So that's my take on things, Pete.
Overture, like the light. I it's when you were thinking of pop culture references from like bygone days, I was just thinking of like the Three Stooges. Like I have an awareness of the Three Stooges, but like it was something that's so far removed from like our lifetimes that and to be fair, Looney Tunes kind of is too, especially the origin of Looney Tunes. That goes so far back, like farther than I think I ever realized until you start looking at like the years some of those cartoons were made. And they've just but at a certain I mean even I don't know at a certain point they just aged beyond where anyone the kids were interested in watching, and that's still a really long shelf life because it was a lifetime before, between some of those cartoons being made, a generation between those cartoons being made and us watching them as kids. And I feel like we were one of the, younger Gen X and elder millennials were the last bunch to watch those cartoons like on Saturday morning, because Saturday morning cartoons went away and they were always there. Like no matter how bad, the stack from like 7:30, 7 in the morning to like 10 in the morning was, you'd get Looney Tunes from like 10 to 11, and it didn't matter how many times you'd seen it. It was still so funny and still so good and just silly. And like some of the stuff, has aged poorly. Some of the stuff I'm like, you know what? It's just it just is what it is. It's just fun. And to me, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner was the easiest one to keep loving, because it didn't require any sort of like pop culture understanding of who famous people were in the 50s and 40s and 60s. It didn't require like any sort of cultural understanding. It was just like, Wile E. Coyote's trying to get that Roadrunner, and that Roadrunner's going to outsmart him, or he's going to outsmart himself. And hilarity, because who doesn't love just watching him, just Wile E. Coyote just fall, and then that perfect Looney Tunes pause, and then when he lands and that little puff of smoke or dust from hitting the ground. uh, all of that was just so much fun to me. And I think the Looney Tunes movies that we have gotten since Space Jam have all just been trying to recreate that magic, trying to put live action stars in. Roger Rabbit did it pretty well, and then we had Space Jam, and then everything else has just been kind of coming up short, especially when it comes to Warner Brothers, especially when it comes to Looney Tunes. And so this doesn't feel like that, though.
Yeah.
This feels more like what I would have wanted. And I think choosing the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner is perfect, because there isn't any sort of weird politics. It's not like putting Pepe Le Pew or Speedy Gonzalez up there, and having to
You
deal
you
with
you just had to
everybody
take it there.
clashing over that.
You
It's
just had to take it there. I mean, I know it was sitting there waiting for somebody to say it the whole night, but you just had to be the one to say it. I just wanted to call it. Just wanted to
But
say.
isn't it so
Point
much
out.
better? Like to have the easy ones. They were never hard to laugh at. Wile E. Coyote, they played on one specific, type of humor, and just beat that, to death, and you still loved it when you were a kid. Other than Daffy Duck, doing the yoinks and away, and then like smack, hitting that pole over and or the tree over and over. It was really hard to top, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. So, and they've brought in some fun actors, some folks I
Yeah.
really enjoy, and then the big names who have comedy chops. It's all clever all around, and it does, like I said, it doesn't make me cringe the way other Looney Tunes live action stuff has done.
Interesting you
Yeah,
should say that. Two things that you guys said I want to touch on. Armand, we have had Looney Tunes in our lives for three generations, going on four.
yeah,
Looney Tunes has been around since 1929.
yeah,
And so my grandparents grew up with Looney Tunes. There's been some iteration of these characters for for 100 years almost. That's
yeah.
insane. And the fact that they still manage to find a way to be relevant, whether it's what we watched when we were, well, technically we were kids, late teenagers when Tiny Toon Adventures came out,
Hmm.
and Hysteria, and Animaniacs, who are all part of that universe.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, to your point, Pete, about like they did the reboot of Animaniacs and it left me cold. I kept trying so hard to like it. And it didn't help that they brought in a bunch of characters that were not wacko. That after we got the main three, they brought in all these characters and I was like, I don't know who these people are and I don't care about them. Literally the main reason I'm tuning into Animaniacs is because I want to see Mindy and Buttons. I want to see, you know, the good feathers. I don't want to see whoever these people are. Uh, Same thing with the live action and the films. Uh, and it's crazy because so many other media borrows from Looney Tunes and has done it unfortunately better. I keep thinking of League of Super Pets, which borrows
Mm.
heavily from Looney Tunes. A lot of the dynamics are heavily, they just happen to have superpowers. Um, and so for it to be so influential on pop culture for over 100 freaking almost a full 100 years, the fact that it actually genuinely makes me sad that there might be a whole generation who doesn't even know who these characters are. So there's that. The other thing that makes me giddy about this is the writer. Sammy Birch is writing this. Now, coming into this, it doesn't seem like a good fit. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her at all. She was a casting director and wrote and directed a series of short films, but she was nominated in 20, I want to say 2019. No, that was her first feature film. She was nominated in 2023 um for an Oscar for May December, which is her version of the Mary Kay Letourneau story. And so it's like, this doesn't seem like it would be a good fit, but in some ways, I think it actually works. The screenplay for this is her, James Gunn, again, showing up. She wrote the main screenplay. There was a little bit of doctoring from Gunn, and it actually wasn't. She wrote the screenplay. The story originally was from James Gunn and Jeremy Slater, who wrote like a short story about what would happen if Wile E. Coyote went, you know what? It's not me, it's them. And she expounded upon that. The reason I'm not worried is because her character writing is so good. It's so good. Go and watch any of her short films. I highly recommend it. She writes really great characters. And if the humor is that kind of, it was the Looney Tunes humor combined with really good character work, this is going to be amazing. Also, it just looks so much fun. From the moment we see him on screen, I'm like, yes, I didn't know we were going to get Foghorn Leghorn basically being really kind of scary, which is actually on brand. I didn't know we were going to get John Cena. I am low key delighted by all of this, and I'm genuinely looking forward to this in a way that I did not look forward to Space Jam 2. I did not look forward to any of the animated versions. Like Space Jam 2, I keep forgetting it existed. It didn't need to be made.
Well,
And
because that's not Looney Tunes. That's something. That's a sports movie, a sports comedy that uses Looney Tunes characters as a supporting cast. This
yeah,
is a Looney Tunes cartoon that is about those cartoons on their own in that universe as a merged version of reality. So it's a little bit of our reality, but the rest of it is all pure, Acme. So yeah,
I love it. And I think if they do this right, it's going to be this generation's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I'm not mad at that at all.
not at all.
Anything else you guys want to add?
That's it.
I've got my
All right.
fingers and my toes crossed. I want it to be. I want it to be good. I really want
I
it to be good.
I really want to take my godchildren and my kid, because the age ranges are so vast, from like 10, well, one of them is 2, but the rest of them are like 10 going up to like 23. And so I would love to take all of them to see it and see how they react, and I might just do that because I think that that would be seeing if they love it, they got a hit on their hands. And I really hope that that is the case. On that note, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We will be at Baltimore Comic Con. We will be at several cons actually this year. So please come and hang out with us and stop by and say hi. And we have a lot of new content coming up. I have been furiously editing video, and Pete's been furiously editing audio. And we have a lot of stuff coming up on both the podcast, and which you can listen to on iTunes, as well as on YouTube, as well as on Spotify. If you haven't been listening to our podcast, then I don't know what to tell you, because we are amazing and we're very funny. And you can follow us at PC Uncovered. I said what I said. So you can follow us at PC Uncovered on Threads and Instagram, Pop Culture Uncovered on Facebook, Tumblr, um, and Patreon, where we have new content will be going up in about a week. And a lot of our really good older content, including a couple of our tributes, are up there now. Please come and join us and support us. We are looking forward to hanging out with you guys in person. But in the meantime, you can listen to us and hang with us via the YouTubes or the audio. On that note, peace.